rise and say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. Nikki, would you get us started with a roll call, please?
Councilman Wisniewski?
Here.
Councilman Baldry?
Here.
Councilman Hoyt?
Here.
Councilwoman DeShane?
Here.
Supervisor Dunn?
Here. All right, we have, starting off right off the bat, supervisor announcements. At our organizational meeting, the town clerk verified that all elected officials have been properly sworn in for 2024 and have all signed the oath book, so everyone is official. I'd like to point out emergency exits. We have an exit here going out onto Route 2. We have an exit through the ambulance garage, through this door and out the man door into the parking lot. And then, of course, the main door that goes into the town hall, in and out from the town clerk's office. The areas of the town hall that were impacted by the furnace blowback from last year have all been cleaned and remedied. Case in point, our town hall has been painted. All the soot's gone and then it was painted. It looks good up in the lobby as well. And that was completely covered by insurance, and our deductible was returned as well. So we weren't out anything other than manpower. Jared's crew was super helpful in moving things as needed, and just the time it took to be here to supervise the crews, and I think they did a nice job. I think it looks fresh and great for the new year. Just myself, I attended a rural issues forum held by Assemblyman Scott Vendette at the county office building, and it was rural issues facing upstate New York and the eastern parts of the state where we are. Some of the issues they talked about was broadband connectivity and the lack thereof in some of our mountain hollows and areas we have that are compromised without getting good internet. Lots of discussion about volunteer first responders and the need for more first responders and the need for the state to support them in whatever way is possible. So that was super interesting to go and have met with him and my fellow colleagues, supervisors, and other elected officials. So stay tuned. I'm expecting good things from New York based on how hard our Senator Ashby and Assemblyman Vendette work for us in Albany. Some of you were here for the organizational meeting. We actually are doing a two-part organizational meeting this year. Earlier tonight, we were able to do the business items that we do every year, but we're going to be doing appointments and supervisors committee assignments at our February meeting. And this allows for people who are interested in town positions to get in their resumes, their letters of intent, and to let the board know that they're interested in the positions. This will give us time to thoughtfully consider anyone who is interested in serving the town in whatever capacity. In the meantime, appointments that were made last year continue over. When there hasn't been a resignation, those appointments continue over into the new year. So that's where we're operating now. All right, after that, I would like to say the regular town board meeting minutes of December 11th and our year-end meeting minutes of December 28th were provided by the town clerk. They looked good to me. Does anyone have any issues with them? No? Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of the regular town board meeting of December 11th and the special year-end meeting of December 28th. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman DeShane.
Councilman Wisniewski?
Abstain.
Councilman Baldry?
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane?
Yes.
And Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. Okay. All right, we have reports and remittances from department heads and town committees. I've given my report, so we'll go right to the town clerk.
Okay, for the month of December, town clerk fees brought in $284.38. Trash recycle brought in $2,395. Building permits brought in $862.50. Planning board fees $450. Total revenue for the month was $4,027.50. $12 went to ag markets. $23.62 went to NCON. And the check to the supervisor was $3,991.88.
make a motion to accept the town clerk's report. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
By Councilman Bowden.
Councilman Wiscusky?
Aye.
Councilman Bowden?
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes.
I have just one question. We have these, and I just want the town boards, I don't know even if I need it, but I would like permission to use this emblem and hand them out through my office. You know, if somebody comes in and gets a dog license, give them out.
How many did you end up with?
What?
How many did you get?
I want to order.
Oh, you
whatever
want
it
to
order
takes.
more.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to get more.
But I just want the town board's approval to do that and use these.
So how many would you order?
I think it comes in a roll of 250. I may even see if you can do a little bit smaller ones.
Right.
I don't know. So I don't know if you have to do a motion for that or, I don't know, but I just didn't want to just go and do it and use the emblem without permission.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
So,
Well, that being said, I'll make a motion that we motion.
Again, it's under our purchasing limit, so. Yeah.
like I said, maybe a smaller. Business. I like that.
All right, so Councilman Beaudry's making a motion that we, down the road, we'll do it during motions and resolutions. Okay. Yep.
And
Okay, thank you.
And then one other question I had that we can discuss at some point in this meeting. IT backup support for technical issues. Can we get somebody that's responsive? I mean, you know, I can figure out most things, but there's some things I just can't figure out. And if I'm not getting response from my IT guy, it's just,
that's,
Or two IT guys. We had
Yeah,
trouble
two
with
of
both of them.
and
Yeah.
I don't get responses from either one of them. So I don't know if that's something we want to look into, getting somebody who's actually an IT guy that does it all the time, on call. I can call him and he can talk me through stuff on the phone, whatever.
Do you have your fellow town clerks? Can you reach out to them to see what they do?
They don't know how the program works.
No, not the
Oh,
minute
oh,
help.
for
Like
IT
who
guys?
they use for IT professionals.
Oh, yeah, I can, yes. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I get it. Okay, so IT issues. And it's everything from simply being able to properly scan to
Right.
our backup.
Our
Our
backup,
backup for everything but the town books needs
Yeah.
to be done. Okay, IT issues, all right. All right, town highway superintendent.
Not a whole lot to report. Been out plowing and sanding. All the trucks and everything are 100%. Most of that's just been fixing lights and doodads. They usually go. Been out cutting brush and chipping them on the sides of roads, trying to just, if it's nice, we go out and do that. Finished up with the brush mower for the season. Pretty much we got every mile in town mowed this year, so take that as a win. That was an awesome purchase, that machine. Otherwise, we pretty much got the financing straightened out. So I'll come at you guys next month with the numbers on looking at replacing one of our tandem trucks, but waiting on numbers from SWAC about the body and the plow and the wing and all that stuff. So I don't have that all ready, but we're still working on it. Other than that, nothing really to report. It's just, I like boring stories.
Okay, anything else for Jared? All right, thank you, Jared. Right, I don't see an assessor's report for December. Okay. Buildings and code enforcement officer?
We got 62 permits out year to date. I went on one chimney fire to Petersburg because the building inspector didn't show up. So Chief Boyer and the chief from Petersburg asked me to go down. It's the third time he was down there, so I think we got the issue straightened out. And planning board, we have 2 site plan reviews for the Rensselaer Plateau lines and 1 subdivision on Fox Hollow.
All right, the rescue squad, Captain Sullivan. He's provided a paper report as well.
We had 19 dispatches this month. responded to 17 of them. We did mutual aid to neighboring towns 3 times, 2 at Post and Kill, 1 at Pittstown. I have to figure out what's going on at the dispatch center. They apparently think we have a second ambulance again, because at one point in time this month, they dispatched our second ambulance. We don't have a second ambulance. So I'll deal with that.
That's it, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Dog control officer?
No dog calls for the month, but we did pass our annual month inspection.
Yes. Perfect, thank you. Recreation committee?
Just down here, okay. Really, there's nothing to talk about because it's the beginning of the year. We're hoping to get a meeting soon, get everybody together to come up with a better plan than we had last year as far as the year goes. And so we can let the board know when we have that. I will also have Donna or I will reach out to get a hold of Pierce and Jody when we have our meeting. So if they would like to come, it would probably be at the library, right?
January 23rd.
Thank you. That was quick. See, I told you we were going to set one up.
What time? What time?
5:30.
5:30.
5:30? Perfect. 23rd.
Okay. The library.
Okay. So the statistics for December, 763 hardcover books, 257 ebooks. Patron visits for December, 222 adults, 29 children, and 4 teens. We were closed 2 days in December. We started a new Zumba class tonight at Roxborough Holdings, so thank you, Tom. We actually have 14 people signed up,
See that?
so
Yeah, it's full.
we had a good crowd. And the construction of the pavilion started. So,
Okay, all right, thank you. What will the pavilion do? Like, what?
well, we'll be
I'm
using it
telling
in the
people
summer
what-
reading program,
Okay.
summer programs, kids after school. Tonight we had 12 kids, so we'll be, in the spring, we'll be buying picnic tables and putting them in there and do programs out there.
Nice. Good.
Looks
Very
good.
Yeah, it does, definitely. Okay, the Merrymakers. Do you have anything?
So I'm sorry I wasn't here at the last meeting to give the report, but I just wasn't home in time. So that would have brought us back to December something. And we had our Christmas party at Giuseppe's. And I believe there was 25 people. We had fiddlers as our entertainment and they were absolutely amazing. So that was a good time had by all, the fiddlers, the grab bag, whatever, but it was a really good time. So Kathy has already planned a fall Racket Lake cruise. Everyone loved the cruise for 2023 on Racket Lake. It was really a great hit. So we did go ahead and we planned one for 2024, but in the fall. And so there's no Merrymaker meetings until the second Tuesday in April of 2024. So everybody gets a little trip to Florida, South Carolina, everybody gets a little break, and then we start back up. And we also have, I believe I was told, 4 new members. So, you know, we're starting to pick up a little bit of speed, which I'm glad to hear. People love the trips, they love the, you know, the dinners, so it's all going.
Great. Excellent, thank you. Okay, senior citizen representative,
Yep.
which is usually good.
That'd
Oh,
be me.
great, oh, yeah, good.
We have some notes from December. We had the Grafton Senior Group Christmas lunch at Giuseppe's, which I don't have the number who attended, but it was in the 20s. Do you remember, Linda?
It's 23.
See, 23. Well, it was a nice lunch. On the 14th, we had the basket social with over 100 baskets there. The room was pretty full. A lot of people helped donate baskets, and then the raffle, everything went smooth. The 19th, we had music, entertainment, birthday celebration. Started at 50-50 and with donations for shut-in seniors with pets. Mostly those people Jody delivers to who have pets.
It was great, they loved it.
We ended up with the drawing for that on the 28th because things got, people were away or they got busy with Christmas or they got sick. So that got put off to the 28th. The winner, Lisa Russell, donated her share at 50-50 back.
It was Linda Russell.
Linda, thank you, Linda. And then, we purchased those other items and Jody took care of that delivery.
Great.
And just every month, we've been trying something new on Thursday mornings, strings and things. If you do knitting, crocheting, whatever, come and sit and, share your expertise and just hang out. Last Thursday of the month is always bingo after lunch. And I guess you always have the calendar for the month?
They provide it to the town clerk to
Right.
put on the website.
Okay, well, I guess on the 11th, the town assessor was going to have questions and answers, and he had to cancel that due to a conflict. And I think that's all I have for that, except to thank Tom for the carbon monoxide detectors. And as just a personal concern, nothing with these notes, I see there's no defibrillator in the building. And with the age of the people who use the building, I think I'm pretty much the youngest one who goes in there and does any volunteering. So that's just a concern. And I don't know.
They don't have DNR.
Is that something you could help with, Captain? Hooking them
I
up
can
with?
certainly speak and help with, because we're going through the process right now of investigating new defib for one of our units. So I'll get in touch with you and let you know what we come up with, and then we can work on something that's compatible with the ones that we use.
Oh, that would be wonderful. You know the age of the people who come in there. Thank you.
Would some of them maybe not have a DNR?
It's possible that quite a few of them have a DNR. Or what's being used now is called a MOLST form. So if they have copies of that, either on file somewhere, then that would be fantastic for when we come, if we end up
Yes,
going there
would
for
be.
something.
We're supposed to fill out a form, and then a few months ago, we encouraged people to, just have your medical list with that form, if you so feel free to do that.
Mhm.
So if you were called in for me, you'd have that to take with you. I don't know how many people did that, but we should all be doing it.
If I had to make a random guess, I would say about 30%, because that's what,
It's
I've been doing this for a long time, and only about 30% fill out those forms.
What they fill
Isn't it
out.
supposed to be in
Yeah,
the
but if you're
refrigerator
gonna do a
too?
DNR, if they got a DNR, you can't do your driving.
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing.
It's
All right.
voluntary.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you,
Right.
Diane.
But still,
Yes.
All right. Okay, we're moving on to communications received. We received a letter of interest to provide copier services. I put under new business. And then we got a letter of thanks from the Berlin Central School District choir. And let me find that to read to you this evening. The choir for Berlin School performed at the tree lighting ceremony that we had back in December. And the town voted to give a $200 donation to their group. And just like that, there we go. Okay, that's what the tax me. Thank you for inviting us to perform at the Grafton Town tree lighting and the generous donation of $200. Thank you so much for supporting the arts in our community, the Berlin Chamber Choir. And they were led by Leslie Eliashuk. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Leslie
Elisha.
Elishuk. Leslie Elishuk is the teacher, and they were wonderful. They were really something else. So I appreciate that they appreciated their donation and that we supported them to come out to the community and have a nice afternoon. And also the Baptist Church was very nice. We had inclement weather 2 weekends in a row. We decided to go ahead with the event on the second weekend, and Chris Schillinger from the Baptist Church offered the basement to use to be in out of the weather, and that was just lovely. And I think they kind of said they'd like to do it again next year to help that event out. So, okay, any other correspondence received? Okay, getting into new business. For the copier lease, we have a current lease with Northco Products, and we've received a letter of interest from, it's National? Is that the company? National. Who? No. Serious, okay. From National, inquiring about becoming our supplier. So has Phil's had an opportunity to look those over? Or?
Well, it's just under procurement policy. Who was our service provider last year for this copier? Northco. And has Northco given us a quote?
Yes, he brought it in today.
So you have
Because
two quotes.
Because our lease with them is up in the 3 months.
Which of the two quotes is more inexpensive?
Northco's price, the way it is right now, is a little bit cheaper, but he did not include the $15 for the fax services on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it bring him up a little bit. It bring him up over.
Do you have a recommendation for the board out of the two quotes that you received? Which one is the best?
Truthfully, I haven't got to look totally at his. It seems a little bit better because it's faster from what I'm seeing and what he offers.
So,
and we've been with him for quite some time.
So at this time, we're not ready to make a recommendation to the board, but by the next meeting, we will be able to make a recommendation.
Our lease is up with Northco or about to be up?
And I think he said we got 3 more payments. So that's 3 more months.
Okay, so it's, yeah. Okay, so we have a bit of time to consider what we're going to do.
Right, and
moving
then I
forward.
can get you guys all the copy, the quotes and everything together.
Okay.
I think I forwarded the one from National,
Yes.
but I literally just got handed the other one.
Right.
And he had 2 different machines.
All right, the senior center contract, our lease with Rensselaer County is coming to an end at the end of this April. They've reached out to me with some ideas of what they'd like to do. You know, Councilman Hoyt's also had discussion with them. The board members all have copies of the current lease that we have, so we've empowered county attorney or
Well,
town
tonight,
attorney.
as you know, we spoke with the county attorney, and he's going to work on getting it over to us, but it sounds like it's going to be 3 years at a proposed 2% increase per year. The last contract was 3 years, but at 3% per year. So we'll get more details in the next month. But the big question for the board is going to be whether or not the board wants to accept the proposal from the county, as I just stated on the record.
Okay. Yeah, we are. We have a vacancy on the ethics board. What's the board's pleasure on how to proceed with the vacancy? We have the resignation of John Oliver. So we have 1 vacant seat.
Do we have people have an interest?
We haven't advertised, have we?
I did with the other open positions that I advertised for. I have not done anything for the ethics board at this time.
And do they have to have a certain amount of people? Okay.
Yes, I have said 3 people.
Right, it does have to be agree, yeah. So what would we like to do? Just
Advertise.
increased advertising?
Make a decision in February or March.
Okay. Councilman Hoyt is suggesting advertise with a decision for February or March. Does that sound good with the board?
Yes.
What to do? All right, under building repairs, the town clerk has forwarded to me a list of items that she feels needed to be addressed. Everyone has a copy of this. We have the conference room door that needs repair to close properly, which should be fairly easy. How would we like to address that?
And Lawrence could come up and check that, because the front door also needs attention.
Yep, front door, this one, in the meeting room, right? This one as well?
Handles loose again.
Okay. And I know this one blows open all the time. This was also on the list of what the town clerk forwarded.
The senior center too was bad.
But that was on the list
Yeah.
of repairs to be done.
The previous.
Yes.
So Mangoins, is that what you're thinking with those 3 doors? Okay. Would the board like me to do that as supervisor, or anybody wanna? No? All right, I'll give Mangoins a call in the morning. Okay. It was brought to the town clerk's attention that we may be needing to install ADA compliant doors. There's a little bit of a gray area on whether or not we are compelled to do that given the size of the town and the scope of our operations. So I think the town attorney was going to examine that.
Yeah, well, the answer is, to the extent practicable, the town is supposed to come into compliance with the American with Disabilities Act. That includes putting ramps in, like you have a ramp right here, and the automatic door openers. So what we would have to do is find out what the cost for doing those things would be and whether the town can afford that at this time. But we're supposed to, I think they passed that in 1985 or so, so we're moving there. I think we're getting there. But that's what we have to do. We got some ramps.
We do. We have the ramps and we have the push bar doors that are, and the handle doors.
Right.
So that's.
So we would just have to take a look at what would it cost to put in, because we don't have an automatic door opener right now on any of our doors here. And is this one the ramp? Do we have a, we only have to have
Ramp is the main entrance.
All right, so we only have to have one door that has the ramp, but it does have to have a door that can be opened through some kind of automatic mechanism. So if we could look into that, that'd be good to do.
But the legal jargon is to the extent
Practicable. For example, if the cost to do one of these renovations is $5 million, well, the town doesn't have that. So that's where we would have to look at seeing if we can get assistance from the federal or state governments to cover the cost of such a repair. If we find out the cost is something that is within the budget of the town, then we can move forward. We still may want to seek some assistance from the state and federal government on these kinds of things.
The next thing was ventilation in the vault. I think we've talked about this before.
We talked about it. From what I understand from all the people that investigated the mold issue, there's 2 vents that come down into the roof, but they don't go down into the vault. I talked to a couple HVAC guys and they said if it's there, run it down into your thing, put a vent going, a fan blowing in, and a fan sucking out, and your ventilation problem is fixed. Relatively easy, relatively cheap. So, but I assume you have to put it out for bid.
Did they give you any cost indication? If it's
No,
less
this
than-
was just people I was just having a conversation
All
with.
right. So we don't know if it'd be less than 500 where you could just do
Yeah,
it.
I would.
I think you're going to look at a procurement policy, though. It's never going to get above 20,000
No.
or 35,000 for a public works. So probably procurement. We'd have to do a procurement policy.
Okay. Can we make a motion when motions come along to empower the town clerk to look into that?
Yeah, to obtain quotes pursuant to the procurement policy.
Okay. We've just received correspondence from the post office for whom we are the lessee of the building, that they have identified that the front porch is structurally deficient and they'd like it replaced or repaired by the end of this month. That's pretty much standard with the post office. They'll send a form letter identifying structural issues, and we've always gotten after them. Sometimes it's the heating, sometimes it's windows won't work, doors are catching, whatever, right? So we've been put on notice from the post office that they would like that remedied. So what would the board like to do about that?
Yeah, ASAP. I would love love to advertise for somebody to help us work
But
on
you got to be done by
things.
the end of the month, so
Yeah,
you don't want to do so much advertising.
No,
They need to, under the procurement
We're gonna-
policy, they need
John
to.
has
John
one.
has broken, it has
I know
been.
what the cost would be to do necessary repairs. Because I can't imagine it's gonna be
He's
35,000.
busy, but he may do it. Do you know anything about that?
Just put it in, I would put it in the municipal address, instead of doing an official RFP.
I'm here in the sidebar.
Recommendation from us over at the sidebar
Yeah.
is to put it in the Eastwood Press, request people to submit quotes. It's not going to be a formal RFP,
Right.
but it still will get us an idea of what the cost would be to do the subject repairs. The big thing with something like that is they're going to need to know who to call, who could then show them what we're talking about. So that would have to go into the notice.
You're also gonna have an issue with fire. There should be fire dampers on that exhaust system and stuff, so in case there is a fire, it's not going in.
I thought this was the flooring.
Yeah,
That's another one. That was the
For the
first
wall
one.
we're talking about.
No,
We're
right now
talking
we're talking
apples
about
and
both of them.
oranges. Because what she's talking about right now is over where the post office is.
Post office.
But both are the similar type of thing. We want to get that out there to get quotes as soon as possible. Because what Tom's talking about is back to the vault issue.
Back to the wall, which that can, we'll get that written up correctly, and I would assume that, I would hope that if you called an HVAC company and they came out and said that they have to do that.
When we put the ad out, we want to specify, we want to track deck.
Right.
Do something more permanent
Yeah.
than wood.
And,
The ramp also.
The ramp's in tough shape too, you know,
It is. You go in,
It gets an awful lot of weather, you know.
Stairs, deck, and ramp, it'd be a whole shebang.
the whole front porch.
So that being a
As is.
historical building, we don't have to go back with wood or anything like that, we can go with Trek decking or,
They will substitute on historical things, some materials. Like sidings, you can use the hardy board, the cement board instead of the actual wood. I don't see why the Trex, it's a wood composite, so. It's skid resistant.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to advertise when motions roll along. Okay, all right. The next on the, I'm gonna call this the honey-do list. Okay. The next thing was the painting and flooring in the town hall. What specifically were we thinking?
well, like, we just need new flooring. I mean, the carpet in my office is like a major trip hazard. It's been there, I don't know how long. The same thing with the conference room, it really just needs to be redone and freshened up.
So again, if we advertise it.
What about out here? Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, yeah.
I mean, that was just a suggestion, like my office carpet, like I said, is a trip hazard. And, it's up to you guys how much you wanna update the town hall and what floors you wanna do and not wanna do.
We definitely want to see.
We gotta, I guess, identify the areas of concern, right, specifically, and then, yeah, excuse me, before we determine what we're gonna do. Okay, so how do we wanna proceed with that? Get a good list of what exactly we wanna replace, and
And then have it ready for next month to actually vote on it. And all you're voting on is solicit. Yeah.
I wish it would be quiet back there. Okay. All right, the leak over the court office. Source of the leak determined.
To some extent, it's that pipe that's right over top of the corner. It's still, I'm not sure if it's condensation, because the other day after that rainstorm, I went in there and there was like 10 inches in the garbage can. To me, that seems like a little more than condensation.
This is in the attic?
Yeah, right now I have a tote in there to keep it from saturating the, but I'm not a professional, I don't know. All I
I
know
went
is
up
that
on the roof and looked at it. The boot is tight, and the roof, that system is 2 years old. There's nothing coming down the pipe. they had a T on the bottom of it instead of a 90, and the T was never glued, so it was somewhat leaking out of the bottom of the pipe. There's also a 90 on top, so the water can't come down the pipe
Right.
off the roof.
I get that, I just think that that's
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah, no,
lot of
that's a lot
water
of
to be
water.
backing up.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there's a zone valve up on the top of the ceiling.
Yeah.
It goes across there.
Right, it's not near that though.
Huh?
It's not near that, I checked, that's the first thing I checked.
Okay.
Because when that goes, it leaks.
So is that something we could call the roofing company about?
I would have the roofing company
Yeah.
come up and check on it. I mean, it's a tight seal, I mean, there's no room whatsoever on that roof.
We should call Pinnacle, the ones that did the roof thing.
Right. That's what I mean.
And we did put antifreeze in the whole system, so that valve will not, freeze, used to freeze and break.
Okay.
And then that hole in the ceiling in the court is gonna have to be repaired.
So the board wishes to call Pinnacle Roofing to get started with it? And it's definitely nothing to do with the water heater, the mold
No.
expert?
Nothing to do
No,
with that.
nothing to do with that at all? Okay.
Those pipes don't even, it doesn't even run that way.
Doesn't run that way, okay.
And I mean, if you go up in there, you can see, I mean, it's plain as day where it's coming from.
I think we should just prioritize this because mold in a workspace, we're gonna get in trouble if we don't, you know what I mean?
But I don't-
Close quarters and.
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of mold, but I think you take kilns and you get that joint compound and you seal it. I don't think you're gonna have a problem, but it's not convinced that it was, I think it was just scald. But I'm not a mold expert.
So call Pinnacle to find the source of the leak and then conduct an in-house repair of the mold situation in the chambers? Sound like what we want to do?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another item on the town clerk's list about a policy for use of the town hall and the senior center. We may already have policies in place for when people want to use town buildings. And I think this is something we need to, I personally think this is something we need to consider when we renegotiate the lease with the county, for the senior center in particular. I don't think that should be part of it, part of that lease at all, where again, that's just lessor, lessee down there. But we should see if we do have policies for using town spaces for private events. How would we like to proceed with that?
What's the time frame on the lease with the seniors?
They always said from 9 to,
9 to
they
3.
use it 9 to 3, and anything after 3 we could use. That's the way
Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's theirs.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Without going to them first and asking permission to use it during those hours, the town can't.
And then I think they always wanted somebody that worked at the county to use, if you were gonna use the kitchen or something like that.
Well, they were very hesitant on
They don't want
having anybody outside
Right.
use the
They
kitchen.
don't like that.
Right.
But like, you know, we have.
Yeah, no
done it.
piers. They
Yeah.
said no piers.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But yeah, they're very concerned if
Right.
somebody does something, because they paid to put in a lot of those
Yeah.
Yeah,
big
that's all
pieces.
theirs. They take care of the maintenance.
But when the
everything.
lease ends, guess whose it is? It's the town.
Yeah, right,
Well, we need to create
So-
policy on that then.
right. Because we have April.
So we're looking
Most
into-
other places, just to let you know, that rents out municipal buildings, parks, etc., requires insurance be obtained by the applicant.
Right.
Insurance.
So as far as goes to town hall, is that just something that we?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
With the town hall, the policy for
The
the
same,
town hall?
it should just
be
be
the
a
same?
policy for using
Okay.
town buildings for
Yeah.
private events.
Okay.
You know, other municipalities do it, they have
Right.
waterfront
Absolutely.
spaces. parks.
There's a form filled out with the town clerk applying for use of the facility, and they understand that in order to do so, they have to get a certificate of insurance that names the town as a lost payee, if something happens, and it gives us coverage, named insured. So even though we have our own insurance, their insurance would be,
Covered.
yeah.
And there is a fee, there'd be a fee process to that, right?
Possibly, yeah. Like we said, we need to come up with a
We
policy.
need to,
Okay. We have discussed having a cleaning person, and it's lumped in here with, and a laborer. But a cleaning person for the town hall is what we've talked about before. Did we advertise for that? No, we didn't advertise for that. Well, we presently have a cleaner that cleans the hall at the rate of $250 a month. Would the board like to advertise for a bonded and insured professional cleaner to maybe give estimates on what it would cost monthly?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay, so we can do a motion to have the town clerk advertise for a cleaner, but then talking about the laborer.
Labor is different,
Yep, it is different.
different animal.
What the board has been talking about is a building maintenance mechanic type position, someone who's available to make whatever repairs we may need, structural repairs, painting, possibly, you know, if we identify that carpets can be laid and this person has that skill set, maybe they could do that in-house. But having a person that's actually an employee of the town, that's employed to look out for these things as needed, but also proactive, you know? So I think this is something the board needs to discuss a little bit more and,
We do.
you know, decide what we want that position to be. And
Need somebody that's a, you know, jack of all, master of none person that can, you know, do a little bit of everything, have some kind of a background, whether it's contractor or whatever. 'Cause it could be anything from replacing windows, doors, who knows? I want somebody that's gotta Google everything, that's gotta be books too.
Right.
Although I do that quite a bit myself.
Okay, so we're looking into a building maintenance mechanic position. I know there's job descriptions for those type of positions. Maybe we can start with that, working from that, and determine what we want to do. Okay, the last thing, I think we covered everything that the town clerk brought
Bottled water?
to our attention. Grafton Hills Bottled
Yeah.
Water, yes. That company actually sold to Culligan, I believe. Do we want to just roll over and accept?
I was gonna call and see what their costs, if they're gonna bring a new machine in, charge us rent for that. I was gonna get some more information from them to see what it involves, or if they're just gonna continue with bringing us jugs of water. Or would it just be cheaper if we have our 2 water machines and we go buy water at Walmart for $6 an hour? $5 an hour, whatever.
Do you know how much you go through? How much water is you?
Not a whole lot. The highway department, you guys seem to go through it more than we do.
It's not that much.
How much you do a month?
I don't know.
Maybe 2, 3
He
jugs?
just shows up, takes care of it. I don't really
Yeah.
know.
The
'Cause I
bill's
think
never more, sometimes it's $6 for the
Yeah,
whole
usually
month.
brings them 1 or 2, and then we're 1 or 2 every 2 months,
Yeah.
so.
roll it over the wall.
Okay. Yeah, we can make a motion to let Vicki go ahead and see what she can find out with that. Okay. All right, did I miss anything else on that? No, all right, I wanted to bring up the solar lights that are in the garage. Councilman Lukreski, Councilman Beaudry, along with, I believe, Jared, have had some discussion about these lights.
We've had the
Take it
2
over.
lamps that used to be up on the school, they're speed limit signs, digital. There was some concern back, I did some research back in the early 2000s. A lot of the residents were concerned with the speed from the store, or in front of the school. The board made a decision that they were going to buy the lights. The state of New York put them up for us. They're about $3,500, $4,000 a piece back in the day. They've been sitting over in the shed there since then. Don't know if they're operational. I'm sure they'll need batteries. We talked about maybe scrapping them. I talked to Chief Goyer. He wasn't interested in them here because of the liability. You'd have to get state easements. plus carry insurance on them. I did talk to Cyril Grant, who's the head of maintenance in Berlin. He said, funny you should bring this up. Their school resource officer just did a survey of the speeding in front of the school. The average speed in front of that school is over 72 miles an hour. And a passing lane. So I brought it to the board's attention that maybe we could sell them. I think we'd have to sell them for $1, Phil, to the school board or donate them.
Is it gonna be a shared services, and then you can trade them?
Shared services.
Well, it doesn't have to be anything significant.
Right. They've been sitting over there for 20 years.
They're light poles that are in the recycling center. They've just been stored over there, but they were formerly in front of the Grafton School, and they light up and tell you what your speed is, like Hoosick Falls High School has.
Their time, they come on at a certain time, noon or whatever, when the school is open.
They're just flashing lights identical to the ones in front of Tamarack School.
Right.
They don't tell you your speed.
They don't tell the speed on
They're
it?
just flashing lights.
Flashing lights.
Yeah.
But
They
they've
were
been there
solar.
for 12 years in the corner. Out in the
Probably
garage,
20.
right? Yeah, more than that. We're just looking to get rid of them.
space too.
So we can just do a quick agreement that just says in return for other and further consideration between the parties and as a shared services endeavor, the town of Grafton hereby gives, and we don't even know if they work.
No, that's my concern.
Yeah,
I said,
gives them
they're
to,
theirs.
yeah.
They need to fix it, their batteries and put in them. And solar panels are still there above the shed, so instead of throwing away, if that's a good cause for the children, it's to slow people down there. So I could imagine they're probably $15,000 a piece now.
Motion to. Okay, all right, any other new business? Okay, under old business, we still have just the mold issue in the courtroom. I really want to make sure we get this taken care of because it's a workplace and it's, yeah, a big liability.
I'm gonna get some cement and cement the T properly and see if we do get water, then we can call the roof.
Okay.
Simple process of elimination.
Okay. All right, any other old business? All right, we're on to public comment, privilege of the floor. Reminder that public comment is limited to 5 minutes per person. Be mindful that the public comment portion of the meeting is a privilege. All comments and statements shall be directed to the town board. Please refrain from any personal attacks, name calling, or derogatory public comments toward individuals. Councilman Beaudry historically is our timekeeper. Right, who'd like to start tonight? Yes, Jeffrey Payne.
I have a real quick one, and it may not be pertinent, but for the purposes of policy for use of the town hall and senior center, what would be the status of the historical society? Would we be considered public, or would we have to get insurance, or would we be covered because we're sort of a entity?
Yeah, you've never had to prove insurance, you're a town entity.
Yeah, that's what.
You know, so it's like, it's almost akin to the, I would think the planning board using it once a
just
month.
wanted to
and then
bring
we
it up.
Judge it, right, yeah, so you're not caught in that, yeah. And even
Yeah,
though you
because
have
we-
events that you have public attend.
Right, or there's a collections meeting, taking down the, getting ready for painting, or.
Okay, good question. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So, as far as we know, status quo there.
Yes, that is, yes, you're welcome on Tuesdays and, yeah.
Whenever there's something to be done.
Right, yes, and thank you for both of your work with the Historical Society. All right, yes, David Buckley.
Madam Supervisor, members of the board, it was brought to the attention last month, the Ethics Board vacancy. And one of the things that that person mentioned was the lack of enforcement of Article 18, which specifically talks about the ethics. I was wondering if maybe someone on the board or perhaps maybe the town attorney could shed a little bit of light on the lack of enforcement of that. And throughout the year, numerous times people brought up some ethical questions. And apparently that has also led to the vacancy. Is there any further information that can be shared on that?
I have no information.
No? You don't find it strange that our ethics board has, a person has resigned based on the fact that Article 18 is just not ever enforced by the board? You don't find that strange, sir?
I think you just made a misstatement. You said that Mr. Oliver resigned
I
because
never
of
mentioned Mr. Oliver's name at all, you did.
Yeah, you just said he resigned. He's the only one who's resigned.
Right.
Okay, well.
So you just said he resigned because of Article 18? I don't think so.
No, you maybe should review the minutes.
All right, Mr. Buckley, I've responded already. I know nothing about
You
it.
don't need to. Anyway, are we gonna enforce Article 18 where the ethics, when it comes to, people being appointed to positions? For instance, we haven't even advertised for the recycling coordinator. We haven't even advertised for the code enforcement officer. And these are appointed positions. So is this something that we're gonna address, or are we just gonna not do it? How about that, Mr.?
I think we've advertised for a building and codes enforcement officer.
Yes.
That's in our on the website and.
Okay.
I guess Article 18, what do you?
This was in the town board meeting when it was announced by Mr. Oliver that he was concerned about lack of enforcement of Article 18. I'm not making this up, sir.
No.
This was mentioned at the last town board meeting.
Right, I believe his letter indicated, there was a line in his letter of resignation that referenced that article.
Right, so I'm not making that up, right?
It was in Mr. Oliver's
Right.
resignation letter.
So, okay, so I'm not out of line, Mr. Danaher. That was something that was said.
No.
So, am I the only one concerned about that statement? No. Okay, well, you have 2 vacancies on the ethics board, correct?
I believe one vacancy.
Okay, so there's 4 people and you only have 3 now?
No, we've only ever had 3.
Okay.
The law provides for 3, our local law.
Okay. All right, I go back to 4 and reserve the remainder of my time.
Right, yes, Pat Bush.
Hi, I was going through all the appointments or the salaries that were listed, and one kind of jumped out at me, the one for town assessor. It was like $10,900 or something like that. I was just wondering why that salary was so much, and why, if the assessor can have a secretary at that amount, how come the supervisor can't have a secretary, that it was eliminated from the budget? I mean, I was surprised to see that because I don't really know any of the salaries at all. And then when I saw all that listed and you can apply for it, and I was just wondering what's the rationalization for that? Like they would get rid of a secretary for the town supervisor, but the assessor is able to have a secretary at that amount of money. And I don't even know how many hours are worked or anything like that. I'm just wondering, can anybody answer that? Like why they just zipped out the town supervisor secretary when I think a town supervisor is privileged and should have a secretary. It just doesn't make sense. And the other thing was, I belong to the senior citizens and they're great over there. So I hope that building, I hope they do stay open. They offer a lot to the people, and a lot of people from other towns come. And the yoga program has expanded a lot more. It's coming back since COVID. And I'd like to see the meals there every day, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think they're a real asset to the town. What I don't know is some of the groups, what they do, and I'm trying to familiarize myself with this. So what actually do the merrymakers do? I don't know what they do, what their function for the town is. I do know they ask for money and, they have entertainment and stuff like that, but what actually, does anybody know what they actually do? Is it just a group that gets together to chit chat, or, and they have these trips? And if so, why is the town funding these trips? If these people in this group want to go on these trips, why don't they fund them themselves? Anybody?
The Merrymakers is a social club, and it's been in Grafton for 50-plus years. And they've always been the Grafton Merrymakers. In years past, they've been affiliated with the Sunshine Seniors in Petersburg and the Brunswick clubs, and they were much more, I'll say diverse, but I don't think that's the right word. I don't think that's.
Well, I was asked to join it, and at the time, I really didn't, express that much interest. So I was just kind of wondering what they do, but why does the town, fund that? If it's a group, a social group, and they want to be together, and they want to go on their trips, that's great. But why does the town have to fund that?
It's, we always have historically, I'd say that, and it's,
Supports the seniors.
yeah, it's a support,
the
it's
town
another,
seniors.
like we support the youth program, It's just supporting another demographic in the community that,
Yeah, but the youth program, they're doing things for the kids. They're,
but the Merrymaker, they do, when they meet once a month, so they have their.
We have guest
their-
speakers.
Yep, they do, yeah, would
do
you?
they do fundraising?
Yeah, I'll invite
Do
Mrs.
you-
Labway to,
Do you do
Extrapolate
fundraising
on
or
that.
anything
Well,
like that?
it started close to 50 years ago. And initially, it was tried to expand to 50 up, because not everybody, what's the Grafton Senior Center? I don't know if it's 60 or 65. So what happened was, way back, let's say 45 or 50 years ago, there was a group that couldn't make it to the daytime. Well, the Everwager Senior Center has not been around for 50 years. So this was, back in the day, the senior group, because there was no such thing as the Everwager Senior Center, which is 60 or 65, and I know Diane can shed the correct years in on that. But what we had was a group of seniors, they called themselves, that were 50 plus, that got together and was funded by the town. They did bus trips, they brought covered dish in, they always had guest speakers, whether it be about computers or health or safety or, whatever that discussion may be, taxes. And the group was able to meet much later because it was 50 plus. So not everybody that's 80 years old wants to drive in the evening, understandably. And I think, so again, 45 years ago, this is where this came from. And it was all about trying to do something for the Grafton seniors, just the same as the Grafton Youth Program. Then many years down the road came the Everwager Senior Center, which does cater, which is wonderful. And it caters to bingo and knitting and crocheting. So I think the Merrymakers just filled a little bit of a void where was seniors that still kayaked and hiked and fished and did some other things and go on bus trips, which thanks to the town of Grafton, they do sponsor the bus, just the bus. So I mean, it fills a void where 50 years old folks are still working. They get done at 6 o'clock at night and they don't go to the Everwager Senior Center. So it's just a little bit of a different age group. Anybody in Grafton 50 plus is welcome to come. We invite people that want to talk about, safety and insurance.
informative speakers, right?
Okay,
Linda, I think it's
yeah.
55 plus,
We're way
isn't it?
over time
Is it?
here.
Or
I think it's
Merrymakers.
50, but I don't know.
I thought it was 55.
And maybe it isn't,
Yeah,
or maybe
okay,
it is.
Okay. Is that maybe?
I'm well
A
beyond,
little
so
more
I
confident.
forgot.
I know. So, okay. Maybe a little light, Shed?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's still like when you sit up here and you're saying, we don't have money for this, or we have to check for that. I know line items, budgets, you have different areas for recreation and whatever else it is. It just seemed kind of like, you're funding a trip or bus, whatever she said, for that, but yet you might not have money for something else. I mean, it just doesn't, that doesn't make sense.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd, for your comment. Thank you, Linda, for your explanation.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, more from the floor? John Munn.
Last year, you went through the budget, and there were a number of items, you go through the budget, and a lot of items were proposed, but the budget did not include money really for repairs. And the town clerk brought up a number of items that are going to be fairly expensive. ADA compliant doors are going to probably be in the thousands of dollars to install. You have structural repairs noted on the porch. And so what I'm wondering is, why aren't these items put in specific, not necessarily these items, but in line allocation for maintenance, a significant number for maintenance, or evaluated and put into the annual budget? I just think that these items ought to be anticipated. They are certainly not cropping up all of a sudden. These problems have occurred. They're long-standing probably. And if you had a maintenance person, again, then as was suggested last year, you could have had somebody be a little more proactive, identified the problems, put in money in the budget allocation, instead of kind of kicking the can down the road and then having a surprise in this year's budget and then hunting for the money. That's it.
Thank you. Right? Yes.
Just one other thing. I never really did get an answer about the the assessor's clerk versus, does anybody have an answer on that? I mean, can the budget be amended to put in money for clerk for the town supervisor? Can that be done? And shouldn't it be done? I guess nobody has an answer.
We'll have to think about it. Yeah. Anyone else from the floor tonight? John Munn again?
This occurred to me also when the leases were reviewed for the senior center. If you're going to allow it to be used for other people or other organizations, because the current lease is expiring, the request, the kitchen becomes a leasehold improvement, and now the town would possibly argue that we now own that facility, and then have the rights to therefore allow other people to use the kitchen in the coming years. Could it be negotiated within the lease that you might allow other people to use the kitchen? Because that would make the Grafton Senior Center much more attractive for leasing out, and you could also get more money for it if you were leasing it out to somebody after hours, if a kitchen were available. Because a kitchen could allow somebody to make coffee or serve donuts and coffee or whatever. But since this leasehold, since the current lease is expiring, you now have assumed leasehold improvements, and in the new upcoming lease, you have leverage to allow the kitchen to be used.
In the past, it was because of the health department. In the past, part of it was because of the health department.
Right.
In the past, part of it was because of the health department using it for the seniors. The seniors the county using it for meals for seniors Monday through Friday. It was an issue with the health department.
Right, okay.
You can identify what that issue was, maybe we can get around it.
My personal opinion on this, on the Grafton, the Everett Wager Senior Center, is that from the very beginning of it being an idea for that building to be turned over to the town of Grafton, was for it to be a senior center and for it to be named after Everett Wager, who was a valuable member of this community, who did a lot for the seniors, did a lot for everyone in the community from the time he was a little boy. That's always been the senior center. I personally don't feel that building in particular, as long as we're leasing it to the county to provide valuable, extremely valuable programming to some of the most vulnerable people in our community, I don't feel we need to mix the message of what that building is about. And I don't feel that having use of the kitchen for someone to have a personal function outside of the intention of that kitchen to provide meals for seniors is in the space for the seniors to have a safe, warm space to go in, a cool space in the summer. I just think mixing the message of what that building is all about is is gonna convolute the issue. And to, who's going to shepherd the process of, well, we loaned it out for a baby shower on Sunday and they cooked, but they burned something in the oven, and now the seniors need it and they can't use the oven on Monday. I mean, I just look at it as though we've got a dedicated building for, like, what if the library were, we said we're gonna, we give the library $53,000 a year, so we're gonna let them have baby shower, or make them have baby showers down there. I just personally, I can see the headache coming with that being anything but a building that we lease to Rensselaer County to provide viable programs in the community for our, one of the most vulnerable populations.
Well, contrasting that, the Merrymakers use it in the evenings also.
No, they don't use the kitchen. They use it for the...
Correct, they don't use the kitchen,
No.
but they have used the building for some of their events.
Yes.
And it would make it,
No.
it could facilitate, I have attended there.
We,
I've attended-
one Wednesday a month.
Okay, so
for
that's using
7
the
months.
building, Mrs. Lovejoy, that's using the building.
Right.
So it is, that's point.
And-
We also use it for the Historical Society,
Mhm.
for the
Right,
Wine and
for
Cheese
the wine and
Festival.
cheese.
And there have been a few opportunities where people in the community have asked to
Right.
use the building. When Margaret Klaus, when Len passed away,
Right.
rest his soul, we used it for his services afterward. When Mrs. Trask just passed away, the family was so gratified that a building that she was she was so determined that building becomes something for all the seniors in town. So that's a special case.
And they were approved by the board. also.
Yeah, and approved by the board, so on a case by case,
Right, well, that's what I'm asking, that,
Yeah, I just think, I don't want to throw any other building in town under the let's lease it out bus, but there should be other opportunities for, maybe we should look at building some sort of community center. Some sort of place where people can convene and there are facilities, Certainly some options, but in my opinion, I really think that building should just be
honor the debt.
just for those purposes. But I get the ideas to do something else with it, but that's where I stand, so, thank you for that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, it's time, you're calling time on me? Okay, all right, I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Loveday.
Hi, I just wanted to say I'm surprised that the senior center doesn't have an AED, and that you're absolutely great to catch that. That's like, of all the buildings in this town, that needs an AED. And some very simple way of teaching everybody who is in charge of that building, as you I'm sure would, to use it, because they're very, very simple, is a perfect solution to any awful thing that may occur. This town is aging out, and that is a great way to help people stay alive. So, good call.
I think Captain Sullivan has something he wants to piggyback on.
Just to comment, general idea, we're negotiating prices on the AEDs right now that work with our new monitor system and everything, and they average approximately somewhere between $1,500 and $1,600 a piece. I'm trying to negotiate with Zoll on getting a reduced price, doing direct buy from them.
Yeah.
It looks like I can get a reduced price, I just need to know how much. Once we get that, I'll be able to distribute that information both to the senior center and the library. As far as any teaching, we do have a member on our organization. I would be able to contact him, and once that AED for the senior center is purchased, we would be happy to sponsor a CPR class at the senior center and teach how to use that AED.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Sounds like a nice partnership. Good. Okay, anyone else from the floor tonight? Yes, Chuck Douglas.
I just had a quick question. In the organizational meeting you just had, part one, you had named the town paper as the one of them as the Eastwick Press, and I was wondering, does the Eastwick Press benefit financially from that agreement? Is that a contract? How does that work?
We pay for advertisements, classified advertisements are paid.
Okay, so it's, in that way it is a contract. Does Councilman Witkowski still own that, the Eastwood Press?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. It just seems to me that would be a pretty direct conflict of interest with someone sitting on the board that owns the town newspaper. So I want to bring that to everyone's attention and just have that out there.
Well, I don't agree with you, I'll tell you. But that man, we have this in town, the man has donated his life, he supplies things here, and you're out of line.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, don't.
You're out of line.
Let's keep it directed to the board, please. Let's
Everyone's got their opinion.
We got
I'm just going to
Okay.
state my opinion.
let's keep things directed to the board, yes.
I just had a question. I know a while ago, the Eastwood Press used to cover like the meetings and say different little things that happen, kind of a summary, because not everybody can get to the meetings, and not everybody has the phone to, listen to the meetings. So I was just wondering why they don't do that anymore. Is there like any particular reason?
Meeting's in once a month.
I'm sorry, what?
The meeting is in once a month, the draft meeting, it's covered.
I think she means the recap that used to
Yeah,
be in.
they used to have,
Tell you
right.
about the different things that went on at
Right.
the beginning.
Through Facebook.
In the back, we have the senior center, all the communities,
Not
the
everybody
church
has that.
page.
Yeah.
Nothing's really changed.
A calendar, basically, I think, not what you're talking about as far as. the minutes of
Well, I
the
used to see they had like, they
This
had like
is beyond the scope of.
Yes,
you
most
want to call it a
definitely.
summary, or you want to call it whatever you want to call it.
Maybe
They had a write-up about
Maybe
it.
it'd be a better form to speak with the newspaper outside of now. You know what I mean? To question their editorial practices. I can't answer that tonight.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was wondering why it's not in there anymore.
Anyone else from the floor tonight? Ann Calabro.
Okay, I have a few again. Isn't Merrymakers a private group? I'm thinking it is, but I'm wondering why it's included as a town committee. And why is it on the agenda, especially from December through April when they don't have anything? Seems like that shouldn't really be there. When the town clerk is absent, isn't the deputy supposed to take over? Why has the town clerk office been closed a couple times? It's been closed a couple times when you've got a deputy who should be able to take over. So someone brought that up to me, so I thought I would mention it. I'm noticing that some people I've talked to have said that they don't want to attend town meetings because they feel that no matter what they say, things don't get addressed. So as a follow-up to that, I would say maybe you should, in subsequent meetings, say, someone brought this up and we would like to talk about it. Even if you don't talk about it now when people say it, just say, okay, this was commented and, excuse me,
I'm having a problem hearing Ann because she's mumbling over here.
All right, please respect everyone's time, please.
Stop.
I'm sorry, Ann, go ahead.
So I was just thinking it'd be nice if you came back to people's comments and said, okay, this was brought up and we would like to address it. And that way it'll give you time to think about it and come up with a response. ADA compliant things that were being talked about. A microphone for each of the board members and one to hand out so that everyone can hear. Because I've had a lot of people saying they can't understand the voices, they can't understand what people are saying. When the town puts it on YouTube, they have words that come out, but it is not a great translation because the machine also can't hear all the words. So if we have microphones, I think that would be a good use of some town money for $300 or $400. Give a microphone so that everyone can hear. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing some more cooperation among all of you. And welcome, Tom. It's nice to see you up there. And I would like to see some more cooperation between you guys and even committees, whatever goes on here. I'm excited to see what happens in the next year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else from the floor tonight? You are killing me.
Now, it was just one other thing what Ann said. I mean, when I asked my question, everybody just gave me this cold stare. So maybe you can discuss it, and at the next meeting, about the secretary and the assessor secretary.
Yeah.
And amending the budget,
Right.
get an answer.
Let me just, the clerk to the assessor that's the title for the position. I'd have to look at that. That might be a mandated position, Patty, that every assessor in a municipality is entitled to have, or expected to have, or again, mandated to have. So I'd have to look into that. I think secretary to the supervisor was, it's kind of, it's not really clear how that position is municipality to municipality.
But
So-
then the secretary to the town supervisor can just be wiped out. That's not mandated then, right?
That's how it was handled in
It's just the
Grafton.
people on the board who voted to get it out.
Right, that's how it was handled in Grafton.
Right.
Okay. And they say other towns don't have secretaries, so, you know, there's torque for that back there, so, yeah. Okay, now we have Mrs. Lavway behind.
I'm just curious. So for the past 35, maybe 40, and I'm not positive of the number of years, when Helen Hemmendinger was secretary to the assessor?
Clerk to the assessor.
Clerk to the, was that ever asked, any of these questions? Because I know she was here for, I don't know, maybe Tom knows. 35, how many years?
27.
27 years. Just wondering. Was she working the same hours? I mean, what has been the big difference with Helen and myself? So in a short amount of time, there's a lot of questions raised. Just curious.
Yes, I don't think Helen's position was ever challenged against getting rid of the supervisor secretary, so it probably just called it.
Yeah, no, I've heard
But,
3
yeah.
times this was brought
I got
up
it.
about
Yeah,
that. So I'm just curious.
Okay. Yep.
Just happen to see it and asking a question.
Yes, Kathy Swoda.
I don't think the issue is the fact that there's a secretary for the assessor's office. I think the issue is that numerous times prior, last year, that question has been asked over and over again of all board members, why was that eliminated, the supervisor secretary? Now, no one has ever answered that question. So you want people to participate, we're participating, but a simple question, why did you eliminate it? For what reason? Because 2 days working in the assessor's office, then it's just as important as have Ingrid for a secretary, whether it be Ingrid or any other supervisor. So regardless of who is the assessor secretary is not the issue. The issue is the question, why was the supervisor secretary eliminated? No one has answered that question.
To me either, so, okay, I get it, I believe you. Yes, Ann Calabro, one last time. Anyone else before Ann is the last one of the night? Okay.
I just had one comment. One more. And this is to address the secretary thing. We were told by peers that a budget is a fluid document, that it can be changed and it's expected to be changed. So as town people who all are rooting for Ingrid to have her secretary, we think that it would be suitable to give that position back and to build it into the budget. Since none of you want to answer that, I thought I would do it for you.
Well, can I just say something about the I mean, I've been here a couple of years now, and these issues come up, they're coming at us, and a lot of this, I can't answer you like right now, but I always feel like I'm in a position to look at some of these that I feel should be answered, and I agree with you. They should be answered. They can't always be answered right here from this spot to you. There's complications to some of this, and I agree. The budget is fluid. I mean, things come and go. We amend this, or we buy this, or we don't spend money on this. It is fluid to the point where it has limitations on what we can do and what we can't do. The issue of the secretary is an issue. It's not a lost issue. It can be brought up again by the board. It can be discussed. The way you see us trying to respond, I can't give you an answer on some of these things. It would take me to the next meeting. And I'd be willing to answer those questions that you have from my position, the individual on the board. I can't speak for everyone on the board, and that's exactly what we get into. And that's what we're working on now. We have a new board, we're moving forward, we're listening to you, and I do feel a little frustrated when I can't give you an answer. It's just what I feel the frustration about the board. Some of these things are a little more complicated, and that's what we're up against here. And to build community is great when we have people like you coming forward and asking us and telling us what you really like and want or would like to see. And I totally agree with you, there should be answers from us. And maybe that's something the board has to agree on, that we respond to what you are asking us. Maybe in the next month meeting, we have some of the highlights. I see some very special things here that didn't get answered from you.
Okay, we got time, guys.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to respond to
It wasn't
that.
just me.
To make sure that you understand that we're thinking about these questions you're asking us, the things that you're telling us. It's not as though I'm sitting here blank or that's just, you know.
Sure that.
So, I guess we'll have a discussion and maybe we could start answering these things. If we could answer them right on the spot, that would have to be agreed upon, and I don't think we have that agreement. That's it for me.
All right. Anyone else from the floor?
Is there a current
Mr.
written
Gilchrist.
job description for this secretarial position?
For secretary to the supervisor?
Yeah, is there
There-
a current written job description?
There's a civil
that could be
service-
handed out to the board members?
I'm pretty confident there is a civil service job description for it on file in Rensselaer County. Typically, the town positions have been, have job descriptions that are based at least in part, most in part, by those civil service job descriptions. The town clerk has a binder that was last prepared by former supervisor Tyler Sawyer. Job descriptions, and I think they were May of 1998, he put something together. A little bit subjective as I look at it myself, but, so we have that.
So there is a job description in this binder?
I'm not sure if there is. Is there, Vicki?
And is there a job description for the clerk to the assessor as well?
Yes. And there is a town secretary,
Okay.
and then there is a summary page for a secretary to the supervisor.
Okay. And we can foil these?
You don't have foil, if you just ask me, I'll give them to you.
Thank you.
That's Mark Gilchrist. Thank you, Mark. All right. Now, anyone else?
I'm sorry, but just the secretary's position was eliminated, and the way, Mr. Hoyt, you're saying it, it makes it sound like none of you knew why you were gonna do it, but you just did it anyway. Because if you did it and you had a reason for it, there's a very short answer for either, any of you to tell us why it was done. So, you know, blowing smoke doesn't sit well. I'm done.
All right. I'm calling it closed to public comment.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Well, they took the time to come up, so it's up to us to hear them. We're the elected officials, so it's up to us to hear what they have to say.
Also, that
Did you advertise for the ethics board vacancy already?
Yes.
All right.
out of control.
That was, they redone.
So I'm just going to tell them three to move. Madam Supervisor, the first three motions on your motions and resolutions
Yes.
are moved.
Okay. That would be the motion to seek bids for the copier lease.
We got two.
The senior center.
We got
and
that.
The ethics vacancy. Right?
We advertised already.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to make a motion to empower the town clerk to seek bids for the ventilation concerns in the town vault. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Baldry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Shane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Gus,
Whoops.
Witkowski,
Me,
Supervisor Buddy.
yes.
What did, I didn't hear.
He said yes. Tom said yes. Did you say yes? Yes. Okay, then we have a motion. I'd like to make a motion for the town clerk to make some inquiries about our bottled water supplier and see where we stand with continuing with that service in light of Grafton Hills having been sold. May I have a second?
I'll second.
That's seconded by Councilwoman DeShane.
But do we own the machine itself?
I don't even know that, to tell you the
Dispenser?
truth. That's why I didn't know. I have no idea. if we
We
own that.
we inherited it. I've been here 9 years now, and it's been here since I was here as a council.
I would assume that we do because
I mean, it might have been replaced.
we don't get charged rent for it, so I'm assuming.
Like to Sam, the Home Depot, and
We could just get a couple bottles.
Right? It's okay, but we've made a motion to have Vicky look into what we're going to do to continue with bottled water
Let them do
in town
company
buildings.
first.
May I have a second? Jody seconded it?
I'll second, yes.
Councilman Bowden,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane.
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Witkowski,
Yes.
and Supervisor Buddy.
Yes. I think this is two separate issues, the cleaner and the laborer. I'd like to make a motion to empower the town clerk to advertise for the position of cleaner for the town hall. And request that we review language in that job description before we post it.
And we ought to do the same thing with labor, because I don't know what description.
Right, well,
We
labor.
don't really have a description for it, so
Right.
I don't know if we have to create job
Yeah,
description.
I don't think you're ready on this one.
We're not
because
ready for labor, but that's why I pulled
Yeah.
labor out in the beginning. I said, let's just do
We're gonna leave
cleaner.
labor to next
How about
month.
cleaner? Do we actually have a job description for that?
Isn't it whatever the person is doing now?
What they're doing now, plus it would, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Okay. Let's table the cleaner and the laborer until such time as we come up with accurate job descriptions of the scope of what we need.
If you talk to a cleaning company, they would give you a list of what they do.
That's what I would like, a professional.
Well, that's fine, I'm
cleaning
just asking,
company. Yeah, right.
so that we have some kind of
Right, it's not a formal
clarification.
resolution, so you don't have to do a motion at table. We'll just deal with it next month.
I just think a professional cleaning company's probably the best way to go, and they'll tell you what they do and don't do.
That's fine, I was just asking for clarification, so I knew what I was advertising.
Captain Sullivan, would that be something you'd be interested in for the rescue squad as well? To have a professional cleaner?
I think we would be okay where we are. And just from a personal standpoint, I've seen other organizations, and I believe you mentioned earlier that you're currently paying $250 a month for cleaning services. If you get a hold of a professional company, I'm not sure what services they're gonna provide above and beyond what's currently being done, but I know it's a lot more than $250 a month.
But we have a limited scope right now of what is being cleaned by choice. So we would open up the entire building to be cleaned as opposed to just select
I mean,
areas.
as far as opening up the entire building, technically the town owns that section of building. If you wanted to have that professional clean, that's up to you.
Right. What I meant is that the present cleaning doesn't include the rescue squad, and it doesn't include 3 of the major offices in the back either. So it's just the town hall and the lobby for $250 a month.
That's up to you. I
Right.
mean, I know that if we have someone that, I mean, basically it's just a vacuuming in the carpet and a wiping down on the counters. There's not a lot of cleaning going on over there.
Okay. So how are we leaving this? To get professional, reach out to professional cleaners.
Because they might not have to come every week or something, you know what I mean? They offer different things, so get the conference room cleaned.
Right.
You know, and
Yep,
that,
Vicky's office, my office.
if Vicky doesn't want hers, then she don't want hers.
Right. the assessor's office. I mean, with a bonded cleaning agency, they're able to come in and clean everything. They're licensed and insured. So, okay, we're standing with that motion for Vicky to advertise for professional cleaning
Yes.
services. Okay, can I have a second?
A second,
Okay.
if we need to.
Okay, we'll go with Councilman Hoyt, 1 second.
Councilman Bowdre,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Woodhuski,
Yes.
and Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion to allow the town clerk to buy stickers to hand out to people who patronize the window. These are stickers that have the Grafton seal on them. I'd like to make a motion to allow Vicky to do this. May I have a
I'll second.
Seconded by Jody. DeShane.
Councilman Bowdre,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Woodhuski,
Yes.
and Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. Okay, and then the last thing I believe is the motion to give the lights that were formerly in front of the Grafton School to the Berlin Central School District. Bill, what's the legal language in consideration of
They're doing a shared services contract, shared
Right.
services.
shared services?
If they're interested.
I have.
If they're interested.
With other and further consideration, is what you said, yes. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to pursue giving these lights to the Berlin School District. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Bowdre.
Councilman Bowdre,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Woodhuski,
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. All right, I think that's it for motions tonight.
Pay the bill.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills as audited. Tonight we have vouchers number 1 through 19 for $20,146.31. I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Woodhuski.
Councilman Bowdre,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Woodhuski,
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. The next meeting is the 2024 organizational meeting, part 2.
Come out, Madam Supervisor. You
No?
don't have to do it that way. You could do one regular meeting, and the remaining items that weren't handled at the organizational meeting, you just do it at the regular meeting.
Really?
We do it all the time.
Perfect, okay, all right, good deal. All right, so I stand corrected, the next meeting is the next regular town board meeting, Monday, February 12th at 7 p.m. here at the town hall. And does anyone have legislative privilege for this evening? No? Okay, and I don't believe we have a call for executive session. So I would like to make a motion to adjourn the January meeting of the Grafton Town Board. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman DeShane. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.